Good Saturday morning. Welcome in to the Johnston RV Center Saturday preview. I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur. Johnston RV Center brings you the show every Saturday, as well as Champy's World Famous Fried Chicken. Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor here. EG joins us in a moment. Good morning, boys. I guess you both are like me. You fought a lot of technical issues, and in my case, stayed up later than I wanted to watch maybe the worst sporting exhibition I've ever seen, Lance.
Yeah, it was not good at all. And, you look back and, I said it all week, if Tyson was going to win this fight, which I think, 95% of not only the people there in Arlington, but 95% of the people probably watching were pulling for Mike Tyson, that he was going to have to get him early. And look, and the only way Tyson at 58 years old was going to go the distance, and boy, 2-minute rounds go quick.
Yeah, they do.
The only way he was going to do that was to do what he did and basically no aggression at all. And then, I don't know, some people said this thing was scripted. Maybe I'm really naive. I didn't think it would be scripted, but an easy way to script it is, hey, look, you don't get aggressive. You sit back. I'm not going to take many shots. We'll go the distance. You'll get your 20 million. I'll get my 40 million. We will dupe everybody out there into watching this thing, and the numbers are going to be massive. But yeah, it was a major, major disappointment. We did have Paul minus the 265.
Yeah. Well, that had to be the way you bet it, right? I would say this, first off, Netflix, I guess, is the one that pays the 40 and the 20. Is that, who paid that much money for that? Part of the ticket sales, the gate, I guess, the promoters. But Netflix on the hook for some of that. And I would imagine it was at least in my opinion, the worst day in Netflix history.
Had to be.
Yeah, and I think the scary thing moving forward, I had a Ravens fan over here watching, and, they play on Christmas Day on Netflix.
Right.
And I forgot how many. Is it just one standalone game, or is
I think it's two. I think it's two games. Yeah.
Doubleheader.
Yeah. I wouldn't think the numbers will be as big for that, but still, man, if I'm a fan of one of these teams and we get thrown on Netflix and you can't watch the entire broadcast because it's going in and out. And I was infuriated. And, Dunaway, we were talking before we went live, that's what made it even, we should have expected this. But what made it more, I guess, frustrating was the fact that it took forever to get a clean stream. And then we just got the crap that we got.
Yeah. And I would say this, Brown, LT and me up at work, we don't always understand everything that's going on, but are you telling me that there's never a moment on a given night that in the world that there are not more people than there were on last night, just Netflix and chilling? Is it because we were all clicked on the same thing?
Don't know.
Because surely Netflix has that many people on its platform at a certain time. So surely it had to be like, it was because we all clicked the same thing. I don't always understand streaming in the internet. I just know that was a crap show. You know what?
Yeah, I think it had to be because it was live, Dunaway. Again, I'm very technically challenged, but
right.
I go back to like 2020, and this is a weird example, but when Sandra Bullock came out with that mystery thriller Bird Box, and we were all dying for some content to watch. I think everybody in the world was watching Bird Box or Tiger King, and there were probably more people at one time that were watching that. But I think because it wasn't a live stream, and I don't know exactly what that means, but I just know they weren't prepared for it.
Yeah, I would say, that Christmas Day game, Brown's going to at least get 14, 15, 16 million streamers.
Yeah. How many do you think were last night, though? I bet it's more than that.
Oh yeah.
50 million?
Yeah. So, I don't know if this will be an issue for the NFL, but as people are saying in the MyBookie.ag chat room, I guarantee you the NFL is on the phone with Netflix today saying, you got to get this crap fixed. If you ever want to do another NFL game, we better not have what happened last night happen to us.
Well, and of course, you had Jerry Jones on the panel early. I don't know how much of everything you guys watch, but, he was hyping up Netflix. They went to Shaquille O'Neal. He was hyping up Netflix. Everybody was hyping up Netflix because they were actually sitting in Cowboy Stadium and they weren't actually on their couch trying to watch Netflix.
Yeah, I would tell you that I've gotten to the point now where I realize that a lot of deals, there are people that vote for certain things, get money, kickbacks on it. Jerry Jones is very much on the television
Yes.
The television side of what happens in the NFL. He's on that committee that decides, TV contracts and all of that. So here's Netflix all of a sudden with a couple of NFL games on Christmas Day. This big event is in Jerry's Stadium in Dallas. I'd be checking.
Follow that money.
If I was one of those people that didn't like the way Jerry voted in the NFL, I'd be checking that the bank account and see what kickbacks he's getting.
It was strange. I mean, like, I knew the voice immediately. Like, when I jumped in,
Me too. You're going to go Rosie, aren't you?
Yeah.
What was that?
I mean, do that. I did the same thing. I was like, that can't be the girl from Jeopardy on White Man Can't Jump, but that was her, right?
Yeah, it was, and it made absolutely no sense. I didn't understand why she was not even the third voice, really more of the second voice of the broadcast the entire night.
So you don't know what the tie-in is? Is she
they called her the first lady of? They called her the first lady of boxing. I think I've never heard her called that.
She's not Jake Paul's mom or auntie or anything like that.
I don't think so.
Yeah, so strange.
Did y'all get a hint if Roy Jones Jr. liked Mike Tyson's legs?
He did not, Brown.
Oh, did he not?
He did not like him.
Did not like his legs.
He did not like him.
Turns out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And apparently nobody liked Mike Tyson's ass because we saw that earlier in the night.
That was the best video of the night.
Yeah.
It was the crispest, clearest piece of video was when he turned around and walked away with his bare ass showing.
But I knew that was we were in trouble, Lance, because that's everybody's old grandpa or uncle who forgot to put his pants on. He's walking around at the holidays.
Well, I didn't know what you would get because I could see a Mike Tyson that is unpredictable. They were talking about the unpredictability of the slap, that maybe if it was somewhat scripted, that Mike Tyson was going to be like, you know what? I'm not going to go with this script. I'm going to try and knock this kid out quickly. But then after the fight, for Logan Paul to be there and Mike Tyson to say that he's going to fight again, and then Logan Paul to say, I'll kill you, MFer. I mean,
such an annoying family.
I will not get baited back into that again.
Nope.
Like, if Jake Paul has a legitimate fight against a legitimate boxer, then I will watch that. But hey, God bless him and his brother, man, because they know how to pull you in, and for us to all be like, I don't know anybody that didn't watch it last night. Like, talking to people this week that weren't going to watch it, they all watched it.
Yeah, we had Taylor and EG. I'm not sure they're big boxing fans. They were dialed in. It seemed like the thing you were supposed to do last night. You throw football on one screen, you watched on Netflix, and it became a communal thing, right? The most popular picture, other than Mike Tyson's ass last night on social media, was the spinning wheel. Everybody was sending the spinning wheel picture out because that's what everybody was experiencing. It was a shared moment in America last night. It takes weird things to unite our country now. But that was one of them.
That was one of them. You're right.
So thank you, Netflix spinning wheel.
All right, we're going to get to the games today. We got some to get to. Lance got a bunch of plays up. We'll hit some of those as well from lanceslock.com. But a reminder of our great sponsors for this fine show. Johnston RV Center, I-65, exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur. Travel trailers as low as $145 a month. Fifth wheels, savings of $45,000 and more at Johnston RV Center. And a lifetime warranty from RV Warranty Forever on anything that is new and qualifying pre-owned. Johnston RV Center, I-65, exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur. Always online at johnstonrvcenter.com. And Dunaway, our guys Sterling, Megan, and the crew there at Champy's World Famous Fried Chicken.
Hey, real quick, is it my lighting? I don't have my glasses on. Do I look fantastic this morning?
It's tremendous.
It looks like it's the color combination looks really good.
You look better than the girl that got robbed last night that had her eye filleted open. You look better than her.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Oh, you didn't see the previous fight?
Oh, yeah, robbed. You mean robbed? I thought it was actual criminal. No, I saw that fight.
No.
I thought it was a little robbery or something.
Lance, you know boxing better than any. Everybody was saying she got robbed. And that girl got robbed, right? She was the better fighter.
Well, Brown, I would love to tell you when I saw it early on, she looked like that she was controlling the fight, but I only got to see the first couple of rounds. And then I turned it over, and I will say, and everybody was in agreement that she got robbed, but boy, man, that Irish chick laid her eye open.
She did do that, yes.
No, those two fights before that were bloodbaths.
Yeah.
The guy, they called them the Mexican Warriors, the two guys that were fighting each other, and LT said that was on its way to being a big upset. I've never seen a draw before, but the scorecard equaled out where it was a tie. And I was like, dang, that was a lot of blood for 12 rounds to end up tied. And the one old boy keeps his belt and everything. I was like, what a waste of DNA. Champy's Chicken, they will never have your wheels spinning down there at champyschicken.com. They're ready to go for you right now, in fact. They'll get you ready for your college football today. Brine chicken overnight, hand-cut chicken fingers, and a lot more at Champy's Chicken, the best Southern fried chicken you'll ever taste, the Mississippi Delta recipe tamales, all the wonderful sides, great dessert and everything else. Go by and see Sterling, Megan, the crew on a football Saturday. Not many more of those left, but they've been open 10 years. They're there when football is not. It's Champy's Chicken, Highway 119 in Alabaster.
All right, let's start with the 11 o'clock window, and let's start in the SEC. Texas is at Arkansas, a blood feud going back to the Southwest Conference days. They hate each other. Arkansas really hates Texas, though. And Texas is a 13-point favorite, Lance, on the road in Fayetteville. Early game there for the crowd to get in there and get fired up. 58.5 is your total, 11 o'clock ABC. And Quinn Ewers is coming off maybe his best game in burnt orange.
Yeah, look, and this is a game Texas can't afford to lose.
Nope.
And obviously we've seen much bigger upsets than this year. But as we roll into week 12, you're playing with, Arkansas is just one of those dangerous teams where they have no consistency at all. But they're fifth nationally in total offense, their ability to run the football, and then Taylor Green to extend plays. And Arkansas is not going to be scared of Texas. We brought up the 2021 matchup in Fayetteville where Arkansas led that game 33-7 going into the fourth quarter, dominated that matchup. And that's when Texas had skill like Xavier Worthy and Bijan Robinson. And it just comes down to this. Arkansas, when they are good, and setting up some short fields, 5 turnovers they forced against Mississippi State, 5 against Auburn. They need to force some turnovers. Texas just 2-5 straight up and 1-6 against the number their last 7 out against Arkansas.
I think the best thing we could see today, if Tyson had won the fight last night, then it would be great social media if they had somehow photoshopped Sam Pittman turning around in the Arkansas locker room and showing nothing but bare ass. Then that would be that'd be a good motivator that he was going to kick some butt today. But since Tyson lost, you don't want that today. There is something that has drawn me to this game all week long, LT, and I think it's the fact, Brownie, that the last time Texas went in there, Texas was a much better football team on paper than Arkansas, and then Arkansas just drilled them. And I felt like a lot of that was just atmosphere and old-fashioned hate. It's 11 o'clock in the morning now. It's in November where it's a little colder in the mountains of Arkansas. I feel like Texas wins this game, but I'll be rooting my butt off today for the Arkansas Razorbacks. They get their quarterback back. He's going to play. He's healthier. So we'll see if they can get some running game going with him.
In Texas, real quick, Brown, Ewers is coming off that 300-plus yard game against Florida with 5 touchdowns and no picks. If Ewers plays like that, Arkansas's got no shot. This number is just hovering around 12.5, though. And again, we have seen a lot of double, 2-touchdown-plus favorites go down this year.
Another one is Clemson. They're on the road at Pitt. Now, bad news, MyBookie.ag has this game done away at Clemson favored 13 and 51.5 total. 11 a.m. ESPN, but Pete Thamel reported just a few moments ago on game day that Eli Holstein is a no-go today for Pitt. So that's bad news for the Panthers, Dunaway.
That is. This season unraveling for them really quickly. And we talked about it on the show. If Clemson can get their way into the ACC championship game, that's the one team, if you're SMU and you're Miami, you don't want to sneak in there. Whichever one of those is in there, you want the other one to be there because it would be a new experience for both of those. Clemson just feels like they've got a lot of guys, a lot of coaches that have been in big games before. They haven't been that successful lately, but to give Clemson a one-game shot to make it into the college football playoffs, I think I would like Clemson against either Miami or SMU in the ACC championship game. So I would imagine they're rooting for Pitt today, but obviously SMU and Miami got to take care of their business. Clemson just hasn't been – it's ever since Trevor Lawrence. They have not been fluid on offense. They don't have an identity. Some people always go, maybe it's the offensive line. Some say it's the running game. A lot of people point to the lack of talent at wide receiver or the talent at quarterback. This Clemson offense has been lost in the woods since Trevor Lawrence. And, so in a game like this in Pittsburgh this time of year, when Narduzzi with a backup quarterback can yuck this one up, I expect this to be a yucky game that Clemson wins low scoring.
This is about the best quarterback play they've had, though. I mean, when you look at Cade Klubnik, 24 touchdowns, most in a season by a Clemson quarterback since Trevor Lawrence back in 2020. So Klubnik's been okay. I think it's more of the wide receivers. Phil Moffa's pretty good. You go back, Will Shipley. I mean, you've had running backs, ETN. It's just you really haven't had those receivers. When Clemson is forced more than one takeaway, 7-0, 0-2 when they haven't, going against a backup quarterback, I fully expect they probably force multiple turnovers. 6-0 straight up and against the number as double-digit road favorites after losing their previous game under Dabo Swinney. So I think it's a pretty good spot for Clemson on the road minus the 12.5. And this is one of the last games I admitted and took off my sheet just for the simple fact that Eli Holstein wasn't playing. It just kind of scares me with the backup quarterback because you really don't know what you're going to get.
Utah, Colorado, Lance, in the Big Noon Kick, which Colorado's not happy about. They're a 13.5-point favorite, total of 43.5. Again, 11 o'clock on Fox. I don't even know who's starting at quarterback for Utah. They're down. I don't even know who they're down to.
Yeah, Brandon Rose was their third-team quarterback, and I don't know who fourth team is, Dunaway. Do you have that?
They're actually going back to, I think, their second-string guy, Isaac. Isaac
Wilson.
I thought he had been ruled last night that he wasn't going to play. I could be wrong. I'll double-check that.
Yeah, I thought that's who they were going back to as of yesterday's show. I have not checked on this game since. It just has felt like whomever's at quarterback for Utah, this is going to be a Colorado beatdown. It may be a coordination. What's it called? A coronation of Deion Sanders in Colorado on the national scene, playoff contender today, because this is the biggest stage Colorado's had since they've been back in the college football playoff race. And I think a lot of the country will see Colorado today and go, oh, so they've got a path to be in the college football playoff. It's just not all a show of Deion talking with two great players, that this team has a path to get there. And I think Colorado will answer the bell and make it happen.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people just look at Colorado and they're like, okay, Travis Hunter, Shedeur Sanders, Deion Sanders. But what they don't realize is defense is allowing 100 fewer yards per game this season. So the defense is that improved. They get after the quarterback. And you guys know I always say good coaches win, great coaches cover. Deion Sanders now 14-6-1 against the number in his 21 games as Colorado's head coach. Since 2000, with a minimum of 20 coach games, he is second to only one other guy, an active coach right now, that has a better against the spread cover as a head coach. But Deion is number 2 actively right now at 70%. That's a hell of a clip.
That is pretty good. The reports from from Salt Lake City that Isaac Wilson wouldn't play. However, Isaac Wilson, I think it was a radio show there, Isaac Wilson posted a photo on his Instagram last night. So that looks like he's saying he's playing, I guess. I don't know. So there you go.
By the way, did you guys want to guess who the active head coach with the best covering percentage is?
I was going to. Is it James Franklin?
Nope.
I was gonna say it was Kyle Whittingham, but I guess not.
It is John Summerall.
Oh, our guy. Yeah. Well, he checks a lot of boxes.
He does. Yeah, I mean, that's one of those things, if Auburn does have a flirtation with him in the next couple of years, if you're one of these big Auburn boosters, you got to be like, I'll tell you another thing. He's going to cover for us, too.
That's right. That's right. We'll make some money to pay for these sky boxes. All right, let's talk about Alabama and Auburn. As a fact, EG is going to join us now. Emily Grace McWhorter, who will be on the road for us today. She is headed to Tuscaloosa for Alabama and Mercer. EG, welcome in. How are you today?
Hello. How is everyone?
Doing great. You get to go watch Alabama play Mercer. Auburn is playing ULM. It was a coin flip for you. You're like, neither of these are great, but Alabama is the team that is in the playoff hunt right now, so you're headed to Tuscaloosa.
Yep, I'm excited. I have some familiarity with Mercer being in Macon, and they're not a bad program. They're 9-1. Obviously, there's a little bit of a talent separation. That's usually what you get with teams like this. So it's no shot at Mercer by any means, but I'm looking for Alabama to have another 4-quarter game. I think that will be sort of an identity game, because if you guys remember back at the beginning of the season, Alabama has struggled to stack games. And I think that this is an opportunity to do that, especially at a critical time in the season where playoff hunt is front and center.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if you got a feel on Ty Simpson and if there was any conversation at all this week about getting him in playing time to see what Alabama has in the backup quarterback, maybe some extended playing time. I know occasionally they hate to talk about that kind of stuff, not to disrespect an opponent, but did you get a feel from Coach Sheridan or any of the players that maybe an extended time of Ty Simpson this week?
I personally did not, but I'm with you. I would imagine that we'll see more of him. And I think a section of the fan base wants to see that. I think we'd all be intrigued to see what he has to offer more in a complete role instead of just stuck in there at the end of the game. So I would imagine we'll see Ty Simpson early, because with games like this, you don't want your starters getting injured, especially when you look at, the rest of November and then going to December. I would imagine we'll see Milroe get that lead up, and then we'll see Simpson time.
Yeah, I think it is interesting with Ty Simpson because a lot of people believe he could be a frontline starter for a lot of Power 4 teams. And how do you guys feel about like the Milroe we saw last week and against Georgia, first round guy, but he's been so uneven this year. If Milroe gets like a second, third round grade, is there a possibility Milroe wants to come back? And if that happens, what's the domino effect for Ty Simpson? I mean, he's been very patient, much like Garrett Nussmeier was in Baton Rouge, but patience has got to run out with everybody. I know it's a virtue, but Ty Simpson's got so much talent. If Milroe was to come back and get paid, I don't know, $3, $4, $5 million, what's the future of Ty Simpson?
I mean, everybody you talk to, Lance, says he'd have a landing spot, and it would be a pretty good landing spot. I've never talked to anybody that doesn't think the kid is extremely talented and could start a lot of places, but we just haven't seen it. But that's a lot of what you get in the transfer portal, guys. Yeah. Maybe you either haven't seen play enough or you haven't seen them play on the level that they're about to go play. So there are always a lot of unknowns in the transfer portal.
And I would tell you, Eli Holstein has helped that out tremendously this year for anybody who would leave a program like Alabama to go somewhere else. But, E.G., I wonder, you've been over there multiple times every week. Has there ever been a discussion about Jalen Milroe's NFL future? I would imagine everyone just assumed that this would be his last year in Tuscaloosa. Has he even talked about that? I know you've talked to him several times.
No, it really has not necessarily been brought up. And I hear more about, Ryan Williams this week was saying how, Lord willing, Tyler Booker is not with the season next year. Now, I'm not saying that they're talking about how Tyler Booker is going to get a first round spot and he's going to be gone before Milroe, but it seems like it's just not a discussion, almost in kind of, we don't want to jinx anything. And that is just my perception. I have not heard any reporters talking about it because I do feel like it's been too early up until really this point in the season to start talking about where Milroe fits either at Alabama or in the NFL next season.
All right, EG's headed to Tuscaloosa. A lot of the SEC contenders in action today. Alabama in action, LSU. I mean, they're still in the race for the SEC. You got Tennessee and Georgia playing in a big one we'll talk about a little bit later. Missouri says Missouri is still in the playoff hunt, and most people don't believe they are. Ole Miss on a bye this week, EG, so no Rebs this week. But
EG, I'm wondering, this is a rare morning kick, and for both teams, what do you do on a Saturday night now? I mean, do you go home to Atlanta? This is a rare Saturday night. I mean, this is. I used to love these games because I would be like, God, I get to be Saturday night. Usually it'd be a chance to go home and watch the good primetime games.
Yeah.
Is that what you do?
Yeah, for a 1:00 game, they'll also get back probably around 7, I would say.
Oh, that's right. It is 1. I was thinking it was 11:45.
No,
Sorry.
11 a.m.
Didn't mean to tantalize you with a normal Saturday night. I forget. No. You'll be working well into primetime. My bad.
You're good. 11 a.m. kicks in Tuscaloosa are nice though, because I was back by like 5 o'clock. And I had a whole good slate of games to go. So it's nice.
Yes. Used to love that.
So, EG, I know you're celebrating something else. You've still got to give me the details on that whenever you get a chance.
Oh, my gosh. Can I go ahead and say on air?
Yeah. Oh, please.
Okay. So, praise the Lord. My upstairs neighbors are being evicted.
I mean, can we go? Did you have a role in this?
I don't know if I can say that yet.
No, okay, no, don't say that. Have you told the story?
I was prepared all week. We were going to set it up where I was going to talk to the landlords about it, but I told her, I was like, if everything gets laid down and you get some other people involved, they don't want this type of tenant there because EG lives in a pretty high end place.
Yeah, and I celebrated. So I'll set you guys the scene. So if those who do not know about my apartment situation, it's just a hot mess. It is. I have come into work looking like a zombie too often because of my upstairs neighbors. They're loud. They have like domestic disputes all the time. They bang on things. It smells like weed every single day. They are just not. They left their dog out on their balcony, and that was the last straw for me. Do not leave your dog on the balcony. Unfair to the dog. They have like 16 different people living in there. All that to say, I had to go talk to the people for the 18th millionth time. I sent an email on Monday. They never replied. I go down there and listen, my strategy, stuff like that is I put on a cute outfit. I put on heels because you're going to take me seriously. I marched down there. I've got my bag. I'm ready. I have a whole defense presented. Okay. I had looked at Alabama law. Okay. In case you want to know about marijuana, live with gotcha. I had a whole defense. Section 1, misdemeanor A is where it falls under. And I go in there and I'm like, hey, just want to follow up on an email that I sent on Monday. Do you have any update that I can speak with you in person? Because I never received a response. She goes, sweetie, don't worry. You will not be dealing with them much longer. It has been a hot mess. Starts telling me these like kind of like little tidbits of stories. Apparently there's a parking garage issue with them. I wasn't familiar with it. Long story short, they will be gone. Woo!
All right. EG wins.
Yeah,
She caught it. The last straw, EG caught him wearing flip-flops with jeans. It was over after that.
Something like that.
All right, EG, be careful. CoverCrimson.com after the game. EG will have everything on social media at NextRound Live, and also Clint and Mick in the game with her at CoverCrimson.com. Join for $1, CoverCrimson.com. Thank you, EG. We'll see you on Monday.
All right. Bye, guys.
All right, we'll see. Lance, you set this line for me earlier when I was handing it over to the Pick 3 folk. And you set it at 44 this morning. MyBookie.ag has it at 43. So you're spot on as always. Total of 58. I mean, I don't know if there's any interest in that for anyone playing a point spread in a game like this for Alabama, but against the number 7 team in the FCS, I mean, I know this sounds stupid. 43 that's a decent amount of points to have to cover.
Yeah, I mean, that's really a full half of football with, basically scoring every possession. But the fear here is when Alabama does go to their backups, they're probably, I mean, they're going to run their offense, and Ty Simpson's going to try to put up points.
Yep.
So, I think it comes down to whether or not Mercer is able to score in this game, and the total is 58, which tells me that Mercer is going to be lucky to manufacture a touchdown.
Yeah, scoring is always the issue in this game. The Tin Horn game, Georgia Southern's option, ability to create some disadvantages for an Alabama team on the edge back then, scoring some points, made that game interesting. But if Mercer gets a early touchdown, broken coverage or two, then this could be, when EG said 4-quarter game, she was talking about Alabama playing well for 4 quarters. What you don't want this to be is Alabama having to have its starters playing in the 4th quarter to win the game, to put this game away. And Mercer does have, that capability if Alabama ends up playing a C-type game. So you want Alabama, as you've said all week, Brownie, to come in, dot the I's, cross the T's, march down the first couple of drives, put touchdowns on the board, maybe get a short field quickly, 21-0, and boom, you cruise into the way Alabama should beat a team like this.
By the way, thebarnauburn.com will have Auburn postgame. Thebarnauburn.com. Dunaway 24.5.
Wait, real quick. LT, are your neighbors, are your upstairs neighbors getting evicted anytime soon? Or are they expanding?
No, I see somebody saying it's Kyle. LT helping her evict weed heads is peak funny. That wasn't what she told me. She was talking about.
It goes deeper than that. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I'd never even heard about the weed. I mean, look, you live in a development where you've got neighbors in an apartment setting, you're going to get some of that. But when you got people that are up all night, i.e. Pacific Heights, if you guys have ever seen that movie, that's when people need to go.
Yeah. Domestic disputes, among other things.
I was just talking about the Vishal is upstairs.
Yeah, no. So I've got, and my neighbor did text me, but he's got a guy out that is doing a lot of work with some loud machinery, and it started early, and he sent me a text. I guess he listens to the show. It's my very, very nice, cordial neighbor across the street, but boy, it has been loud. And so that has riled the Vishals up a little bit.
Well, my little dogs are going crazy this morning because in our neighborhood now, I live in a townhome community now, and there's a roofing going on some of the buildings across the way. So my dogs are going crazy, but no joke. if I had somebody to play the role of Brown, I was thinking about going out because it's 2 buildings over, and they started at 7:30 with the boom, 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 with the shooting the shingles into the roof over there and stripping them off. And I was going to go out and recreate. I couldn't get Maggie to do it. Maggie didn't want to take her pajamas off. Typical comment. She didn't want to take her pajamas off. And I was like, hey, let's walk across there. You shoot me real quick. Video-wise of me saying, hey, are you supposed to start changing the roof before 8 o'clock?
What time is it, sir?
What time is it, sir? 7:55.
It's early, man.
It just doesn't make sense. They were out at 7:30. What if you lived under that roof over there? I could hear it two buildings over. Crazy.
All right. So Auburn is at home against ULM. Lance, Auburn a 24.5-point favorite in this game. Total of 46. It's the 11:45 early SEC network kick down at Jordan-Hare Stadium. I don't know what to expect. Well, I think I know what to expect crowd-wise in this game. I think it's going to be a sleepy Jordan-Hare crowd. Auburn's going to have to create their own energy in this game. And much like we just talked about with Alabama Mercer, never give ULM hope. Don't give them hope that they can hang around in a game.
Yeah, and I think if you're Bryant Vincent, you sell your team on, hey, look, we had we played really good football in September and October. Things have kind of come off the rails, but hey, look at what New Mexico State was able to do to this team on their home field last year. And, I look back and obviously Diego Pavia having a really good season for Vanderbilt was one of the main reasons. But I think this La Monroe team is just as good as that New Mexico State team was. And, again, we're comparing, different seasons and scores and stuff. But this could be a dangerous game for Auburn. I mean, if I had to play it where the number sits right now, I think I would probably take the points. I wouldn't feel great about either way, though.
Yeah, see, I'm with you, Lance. I mean, this is one of those teams that earlier in the year were playing much better football. You never know when they could get all healthy again and wake up the echoes and start playing like they were in their first 6 games. But for Auburn, it's been about them scoring points. And if you don't score points, every game is close or you lose them. And so they've got to manufacture some offense. And then there's been this discussion for 2 weeks about whether or not Peyton Thorne is healthy enough to play, or whether or not they're going to try to go young with Hank Brown or Lonergan or somebody like that. And, that could be a bonus, or it could backfire there. So this is an interesting game to watch if you're an Auburn fan, just to, much like Alabama, you want them to go out and lay it down early on and then do all the work you got to do to get ready for Texas A&M and Alabama at the end of the season. But, you got to win this game first, because the immediate history is you didn't last year.
All right, let's go to the 2:30 window. Johnston RV Center, I-65, exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur. That is who brings you this show. Right now, travel trailers as low as $145 a month. Fifth wheel start at $45,000 in savings at Johnston RV Center. And RV Warranty Forever gives you that lifetime warranty on anything that is new and qualifying pre-owned. You can see more online, johnstonrvcenter.com. That is johnstonrvcenter.com. And Dunaway Champions, world famous fried chicken.
Oh, I tell you, Brownie, they have chicken sandwiches there too. I never talk about them. Chicken on a stick, which is a great Southern delicacy where you have the chicken and the vegetables cooked together there. But the Southern fried chicken, brined overnight, cooked to order. That's what the talk is all about at Champions. And 2, the Mississippi Delta recipe tamales, because you just don't get those kind of tamales around here, especially at that high quality. Wonderful sides, just a great atmosphere, easy to call ahead or place an order at championschchicken.com and just go through their to-go window. It's all right there. Champion's Chicken, championschchicken.com, Highway 119 in Alabaster. Roll on down and say hi to Sterling and the crew right there.
All right, we're about to get into some of Lance's plays at lanceslock.com. He's got 13 of them up today. We'll touch on a few of those before the show is over here.
So none of the games we talked about yet, no Lance's plays on any of those so far?
None that we've talked about.
Oh, wow.
Well, they're all 11 o'clock games, though. He has shaken some of that 11 o'clock window bad juju. He's still not dipping in that I'm aware of today.
No, I did not. Did not go with 11 o'clock. I'm going to go live on at Lance's Lock, and we will do that at 10 o'clock. And I've got 3 plays that I did not play that I will give out and get into some other things. But I did not play an 11 o'clock game. Yeah. I like a couple of 11 o'clock games. I didn't love any 11 o'clock.
Tell me the record again last Saturday.
We were 7-2 last Saturday.
7-2.
We were 2-0 last night in college football, and it was so the big play was the over in Brown sneaky good game. I loved the North Texas, San Antonio over. And since I started hyping Chandler Morris up, the Mean Green's quarterback, he's been awful.
Yeah.
And they just, I don't think they believe in kicking. North Texas doesn't, whether it's punting or field goals. And they were leaving point after point on the field. And then they get down with a 1st and goal situation to put it over the total with about 3 minutes to go in the game. And they get stopped on 4th down. And you think they, I'm bitching up a storm. And the first play from scrimmage, dude takes it like 85 yards. I don't know how much of that game you guys watched.
Very little.
But that white running back for North Texas had over 200 yards. I mean, he kept them in it and kept our total alive, and it ultimately went over. But Chandler Morris was not good. But we had that, and then we had an easy winner with Arizona over Houston. That number was way too low. Mismanaged that number. It was -2. So coming in off a nice 2-0 in college football, and we do have a healthy slate today of 13 plays.
Yeah, well, my favorite plays yesterday, as you know, were with North Texas -1. That was my Miami Heat, Indiana Pacers in Indianapolis play of the night. How many times did I get suckered in with LT? The Heat are getting 2 points. I was like, North Texas is only giving a point, and by the time I turned it on, it was 21-7 UTSA, and I knew I was going to watch that. It was a loser.
Another game, though, you've got to play on is Notre Dame and Virginia. The Irish, a 21.5-point favorite for the 2:30 NBC kick, total of 50.5. Marcus Freeman's had trouble with these games, big point spreads like this, but generally that is not, a power conference team. That's generally a MAC, a Marshall, a Northern Illinois team.
Yeah, look, and Tony Elliott's done a good job with making Virginia kind of a sneaky out this year, sitting at 5-4. And after winning 3 games in his first 2 seasons, or 3 games in year 1 and 3 games in year 2, now he's got them right on the brink of getting to a bowl game. I think too much Jeremiah Love, though, and Riley Leonard. I just don't see Virginia being a threat to win this game. I mean, this is one of those where Marcus Freeman, I think the Notre Dame fans and the alumni and everybody behind that program likes Marcus Freeman a lot, but brought this up yesterday. He's already lost as a 14-plus point favorite in his first 3 years 3 times. In the 23 years before him, they only did that 3 times. And this is one of those games, Notre Dame is going to be healthy favorites from here on out over the next 3 games, and all they've got to do is win those games, and they're in. If they were to lose a game like this at home, I think the fans would quickly flip on Marcus Freeman.
Yeah, because the Northern Illinois game still haunts them, but they were talking about it on game day earlier. It is senior day, and they're in South Bend, and if they just win their 3 games, they don't have a conference championship game to go to, so they're locked in and locked into a home game. So that's a big deal to get somebody in the playoffs coming there to Notre Dame, and it would take a massive disappointing loss, even to the Army game. Even the Army game would be a disappointing loss for them, because Notre Dame is supposed to beat Army.
Yeah,
this isn't the 1940s anymore.
It is kind of a tricky schedule. Honestly, Notre Dame's a really good team, but if you had to play Virginia, Army, and then at USC, how many teams in college football go 3-0? Maybe 30, 25, 30?
Yeah, to your point, if for some reason the world worked differently and I was on death row and I had to, my choice was to save your life, Georgia's got to win their next 3 games, or Notre Dame's got to win their next 3 games. Who would you go with?
Georgia.
I think I would too, but Georgia's got Tennessee tonight. Notre Dame's got 3 teams they should beat, but I think I would go with 2-loss broken Georgia too.
I think I would too. I hope I don't have that decision to make. We're about to talk about LSU. AK says he keeps hearing in an 8-way tie, Bama LSU in the SEC championship game. Why does Tennessee not get in an 8-way tie? And it doesn't even really have to be an 8-way tie. It could be smaller than that. It comes down to strength of conference opponent, basically. The best winning percentage among conference opponents, and it benefits Alabama, and the team it benefits the second most in a lot of cases is LSU. It's a long way down the road. LSU first has to win at Florida today, Dunaway, where they're a 3.5-point favorite. Total of 56 for the midday ABC kick at 2:30.
I have no clue what to expect of this game today, because
really,
how healthy is DJ Lagway? He's going to play. Can he run like he is capable of running? If he can, then that is a big bonus for Florida, because in back-to-back games, LSU has been horrible at stopping the quarterback run. Now, the other side of that is Nussmeier is playing, and he's been horrible at throwing it to the right white jerseys with the purple and gold piping. So his turnovers could be a problem again today. LSU's running game was non-existent for most part. One or two big plays last week against Alabama. I think Florida's rush defense is pretty good. Can Florida create some run to help their quarterback out a little bit in a traditional running situation? And is there a motivation factor now for LSU? I mean, you keep selling me LSU can be there if this or that happens, so their season's not done. But leaving that field last week in Baton Rouge, Gigi and I were there. There wasn't a whole lot of get up and go left in that stadium or in that football program after that beat down the other night. I'm not sure the players, the coaches, the fans at LSU really still believe that there's hope of them making the college football playoff. I think the juice atmosphere at the Swamp, if people show up and are still buying into this football season, I think Florida can win this game, but I have no clue, LT, on how this ends up.
Yeah, I lean Florida in this game, but it would be so where Brian Kelly is right now with this LSU program to win out and then win a bowl game and go 10-3. And then you look back and you're like, well, damn, he's won 10 games in all 3 years. You know, this really hasn't been that bad. With all that said, Brian Kelly, 19 games or 19 times in his career, he's lost by 20 or more. And following up the very next game, he's 13-6 against the number. But LSU has owned this rivalry, 6-1 straight up over the last 7. Last Florida quarterback to win, I brought this up yesterday, was Felipe Franks. I don't know. If Lagway plays well, I think Florida wins. If he doesn't, I think LSU wins. I stayed away from it.
Lance, another game you got to play on is South Carolina, Missouri, the battle of the Columbias. This one in Columbia, South Carolina. Total 42.5, and South Carolina favored by 13. Pete Thamel today reports Brady Cook's giving it a go for Missouri, so it looks like their starter may be back in.
Yeah, and I think this number is ticked up. Look, I'm playing the total here. I've got 3 total plays today. I've got 10 sides, 3 totals. I stayed away from the side in this one. If I played it, I would have laid the 12.5. Now with South Carolina, I know it's ticked down a little bit. The total has ticked up a point because of that news with Brady Cook. So look, South Carolina's won 3 straight. We've talked about this week. I mean, this is that one team in the SEC nobody wants to play. And I think the timing for Eli Drinkwitz to really annoy everyone in the world by his comments that he believes they're in the college football playoff. This is the team you don't want to go on the road and play. And it's just so fitting it's Eli Drinkwitz. So if I played a side here, I would lay it with South Carolina. But if it's a one-possession game, I give Drinkwitz credit. They are 4-0 in one-possession games this year.
Yeah, and people keep asking, Jim, who should Alabama fans be cheering for in Tennessee, Georgia? Who should Alabama fans be cheering for in Missouri and South Carolina? Because you go back to talking about the ties and the strength of schedule. First thing I always ask is, what are you cheering for?
Yeah, what do you want?
If you want to play in the SEC championship and try to add another year, then you want your schedule to stay strong. So you didn't play Florida, so you want LSU to win that game. But it doesn't matter on Tennessee, Georgia, or Missouri, South Carolina. You played them both. So either way, you're going to get a win and you're going to get a loss, and your winning percentage is going to stay about the same right there.
Well, it matters with Tennessee. They need to pick up if you want to go to Atlanta. If that's your goal to get to Atlanta, you need Tennessee to get another loss. So
I don't think Alabama fans want to go to Atlanta.
They may not. I assume when they're asking you, that's why they're asking you. I guess they're asking you in terms of the playoff. Okay.
Yeah, but how do you guys feel about that? Because Alabama by far has more SEC championships than anybody in the SEC. The opportunity to play and win an SEC championship, does that mean anything to you guys right now to be SEC champions?
No, it does not. I mean, it really is taking on the life of college basketball now. I mean, it's a banner.
Yeah.
But everybody's just going to remember, did you get to the 12-team playoff, and what did you do in the 12-team playoff?
I do think there would be a sense of pride, though, of being in one of those top 4 seeds and having a bye. And that only comes with the championship. But maybe I'm wrong.
No, yeah. I mean, I think the result of that, but, getting there and losing, I don't know. I mean, I'm not excited. I know we're talking about, possibly going over there and, kick the can on that a little bit, but I don't know. I mean,
it sounds like you and I will be doing that.
Well, it used to be. I mean, we used to all go over there. We'd sometimes go on a Thursday or Friday morning, and it was just an exciting weekend. Man,
I agree.
There was a buzz in that town, and I just, if you get Texas Ole Miss this year, you get a situation like that, then I think it'll be amped up, but. I mean, if Georgia and Alabama somehow, can they still play in the SEC championship game? I guess they could. I mean, that would do absolutely nothing for me, and that's weird to say out loud.
Yeah, there's a lot of possible matchups still alive, and Alabama is in a lot of those. All right, Lance has a play on this game, Dunaway, so I'm not going to ask him to give away the play, but I'm going to ask you this question just for his purposes. I know the side he's got here, okay?
Okay, I do not.
Boise State and San Jose State playing San Jose tonight at 6 o'clock, CBS Sports Network. Upset alert to you are not in this game. MyBookie.ag has Boise State a 14.5-point favorite, total of 61.5.
Well, Brown, all you had to do was go back to the 9 a.m. opening segment on Tuesday's show when I brought this game up. And I even joked with LT that San Jose State, you're really good when the highlighter is used in your logo. And for those that don't watch the show or see that segment every week, we draw logos, and we always have a hard time with the bright yellow, like in San Jose State's uniform. And LT this year has done it for Georgia Tech in a big win when he's won it outright. And I forget a couple of the others that he has used it this year. He's been really good when he's had to go to the yellow highlighter and then the pain in the butt of getting it off because it's permanent off of our dry erase boards. But I brought it up. Of my list that I do every week, that was one of 5 games I had that could be interesting. I mean, Ashton Jeanty is the best running back in the country. Boise State has won every game like they're supposed to win, and their only loss is to Oregon on there in Eugene on the away turf there of Oregon. It's a great quality loss. They've got a really good resume. But then there's San Jose State, who has been a killer out in the Mountain West for a while now. They've been sort of ambushing teams. It's a sneaky, tough game for Boise State. I would still play Boise, but I can understand if somebody likes San Jose State in this one.
I wanted to check something real quick. San Jose State, we backed them last week. Boise was lucky to survive Nevada. I don't know. I don't want to say Boise's running out of gas because Ashton Jeanty does so much for this team, leading the FBS, obviously with over 1,700 rushing yards. The nearest guy to him is more than 400 yards behind him. And he is the first FBS player with 125 plus rushing yards in 9 straight games to open a season since, I'll give you the year, 2012. Either one of you guys gets this and you haven't seen it, if you honestly get it, $100 bill to you.
Okay, ask the question one more time.
So Jeanty right now is the first FBS player with 125 plus rushing in the first 9 games to start a season since this player in 2012.
It's a tough one.
Was it a Texas running back?
He might have been from Texas, but it was not a Texas running back. You guys aren't going to get this.
I am not.
I'll tell you, it was a Heisman finalist, but it was Brown. Do you want to guess?
Yeah. I mean, I would guess a Wisconsin back, but it's not Ron Dane. I can't remember who the back was then.
It was actually a quarterback. It was Jordan Lynch for Northern Illinois.
Wow. I remember when he was pushed for the Heisman. Yeah.
Yeah. I just, if you've watched this, and Spencer Danielson's done a really good job with this team, and obviously their one loss in Eugene to Oregon by 3, but the Madsen Maddox kid, the quarterback, he's okay. Obviously this is a game they should win. They're laying 14 here. I just don't know how good this Boise team is right now.
The team Lance did color on his board was the old Badger of Wisconsin, an upset alert. 13.5 is the point spread this morning, Lance, at MyBookie.ag, a total of 51, 6:30 NBC game. You still feeling a little whiskey in you?
Yeah, I need Braden Locke to play well, though. They're coming off a bye. I need that crowd to get behind them. You need to turn Oregon over, which is really difficult to do when you look at Dylan Gabriel, 74% completion rate. We looked at Bo Nix last year, and I think a lot of this is Will Stein's offense. Look, both obviously really experienced quarterbacks, but he leads the Big Ten in total yards and touchdowns. He's got 180 career touchdowns, which is the most in FBS history now, which is pretty incredible. And here's the good news for the Ducks. I mean, they are peaking at the right time. They've scored 30-plus in 4 straight games while holding their opponents to less than 20 in all of those games. But if Braden Locke plays clean football and this crowd gets behind it, we've seen some crazy things happen at Camp Randall. I thought they were going to beat Penn State. They had the lead midway through the third quarter. Braden Locke threw a pick 6. flipped everything. But I do think Wisconsin's got something for Oregon tonight.
Yeah, I think Wisconsin and Nebraska all of a sudden have a lot in common, other than generic logos of a capital N or a capital W. This Wisconsin, every time I'm ready to buy in, Wisconsin is back. Wisconsin's back. They don't play their best game. I just don't see this one, LT. Oregon has been the most complete team this season, at least lately, since the Idaho tough outing and Boise State. But I just don't see this one. This Wisconsin team has been so disappointing. Their wins have been against really bad Big Ten teams. So I don't know if you're on Wisconsin or not, but if you're on Wisconsin, I think that's a good sign for you, because I hate it. Yeah, I'm all Oregon.
Well, Dunaway, Tennessee is at Georgia, and guess what happened last night? Nico got cleared to play, and voila, the line has dropped a little bit. I'm looking at it live right now on MyBookie.ag. 8.5 is where Georgia is favored. This has been up around 10.5 a lot of the week. So Georgia now just over a touchdown favorite at home against Tennessee, total of 47. Prime time in Athens, 6:30 ABC game, Jimmy D.
Yeah, but just like Brady Cook in Missouri, okay, he's cleared to play. We saw Brady Cook try to play in Tuscaloosa against Alabama. So he's cleared to play, Nico is. Now, it's concussion protocol, so, obviously not a limited shoulder or knee or something like that. But when Nico's played, when's the last time that he has been the biggest threat? Is Nico going to be able to run with his coming off of the injury? His throwing has been erratic at times. This doesn't change anything for me in this game. In fact, if I saved my bet until right now, I think it gives me some value, and I'm not having to give up as many points. I like Georgia in this one.
Yeah, I think it is tricky when you get a guy coming off concussion protocol, and you've seen it with Tua, Brown. These guys can just seem kind of out of it. And now you're going into a hostile environment where Georgia, it's hard to believe, 26-2 the previous 3 years in SEC play, and they're 5-2 this year. And they're on the brink of being eliminated, and Kirby knows everything in front of them. And it's all about, to me, Glenn Schumann and Kirby Smart saying Dylan Sampson's not going to beat us. First SEC player with a rushing touchdown in each of his first 9 games of the season since Leonard Fournette and Derrick Henry did this in 2015. It's all about stopping Dylan Sampson. And if Nico beats you on the edge, so be it. I just don't see it happening. I'll go on and just roll this one out. I think Georgia wins this game easily tonight. I don't want to call it a bloodbath, but I've got no problem laying the 9.5, and it's maybe my favorite play on the board today.
Oh, Lance big on them dogs.
Ooh.
All right, Lance, do you think last game we'll talk about here, BYU is a narrow home favorite, 2.5 points for that late night ESPN 9:15 kick. Kansas 57.5 is your total in that one. BYU's been skating on very thin ice. Is this the one that finally gets them?
Yeah, it could. I still don't know how they survived last week. I know, very controversial holding call. We talked about it all week. BYU, obviously really good team, but again, kind of like Boise State, not playing their best football right now. Lucky to survive. You look at Kansas, they opened 1-5. It was one of the bigger disappointments of 2024. But 4 of those losses were by 6 or less. Now they've won 2 of 3. If you watched last week against Iowa State, they controlled that entire game. The score not nearly as indicative of what the final was, but Jalen Daniels played great. If Jalen Daniels and Kansas play like they did last week, they will win this game. I ended up staying away from it. BYU 9-0 for the 5th time in school history. And 3 wins in the final 2 minutes this year. So BYU knows how to win these tight games. They did it against SMU, Oklahoma State, and Utah last weekend. So this should be a fun game, though, man. I'm excited that we've got one of these late night games that's got a little meaning to it.
That's right. Yeah, Washington State, New Mexico late night tonight could be fun. San Diego State, UNLV could be a fun game with zero meaning. I don't think it impacts the playoffs at all, though. Do you guys? A BYU win or loss, I still see the Big 12 as a one-bid league.
Yeah, it just depends on whoever wins that conference championship game. And this would not knock BYU out of that game, but it would make it more interesting.
No, but it makes that game much more interesting to me.
Yeah.
Once BYU gets to the playoffs, if they're 13-0 and the Big 12 champion and, they're number 3 or number 4, it's just a little more sizzle with whoever that matchup is they're playing.
Yeah, true. That's true. And I would tell you this, it makes it easier on the committee if Kansas pulls the upset tonight, because then they don't have to sit there and justify an unbeaten BYU team losing in the Big 12 championship game with an extra game, and you're going to leave them out. it'd be a little easier if BYU lost this game tonight.
I don't know if you guys came across this, and I meant to bring it up on the show this week, but I think it was like betonline.ag sent out their playoff predictors. And there are 13 teams right now that are even money or minus to actually get to the college football playoff. And that 13th team with even money is Colorado.
Wow.
And they've got better odds now than BYU of getting into the college football playoff. So Vegas believes that Colorado is going to win out, probably ultimately beat BYU in the Big 12 championship game.
All right. One look ahead line before we leave. A reminder, Johnston RV Center, I-65, exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur brings you the show. Travel trailers as low as $145 a month. Fifth wheels, $45,000 or more in savings at Johnston RV. RV warranty forever gives you a lifetime warranty on anything new and qualifying pre-owned. I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur. It's Johnston RV and Dunaway Champions, world famous fried chicken.
Yeah, unbelievable lunch and dinner. It's a date night location, great bar, great drinks as well. But Sterling has built his reputation on just the best fried chicken, the best sides, best food that you're going to get in the area. Highway 119 in Alabaster. See the whole menu at champieschchicken.com. Oklahoma play today, or they get a bye week before Alabama?
Oklahoma is off.
Yeah, they're going to buy. One look ahead line for next week. Kirk Signetti, word is breaking that he is about to double his salary. So a new contract for Coach Sig, up to $8 million. Lance, I look right here at MyBookie.ag. They've got a few look ahead lines for next week.
I haven't seen it.
One of those is Indiana at Ohio State. What's your guess?
I will say that Ohio State is a 9.5 point favorite.
I was going to say 13.5.
Ohio State's an 11.5 point favorite. One of interest, BYU currently is catching points at Arizona State. If you wonder how the betting market reacts to BYU, they are catching 1.5 at Arizona State next week. So
yeah, I don't think there's a lot of respect for BYU,
Nope.
and a lot of people believe it will go down tonight. I just saw on the ticker on College Game Day, I don't know if you guys saw this, the last time BYU finished in the top 10 at the end of the season, final rankings. It's kind of hard to believe it's been this long. 1996.
Jeez.
Wow.
Is that still Lavelle Edwards? Was he still coaching then?
Maybe.
I think so.
Yeah.
That guy coached a long time.
Was that one of the, who was the family that had quarterbacks?
Ty Detmer?
Yeah, was
The
it a
Detmer family?
Yeah.
I think so. It was
Yeah.
Coy or Ty.
All right, Lance is about to go live. Win at Lance's Lock on YouTube, lanceslock.com. 13 big plays today, so he's going to give you some more opinions. Covercrimson.com for Alabama postgame, thebarnauburn.com for Auburn postgame. That's where you find everything else that's going on. All right, boys, enjoy your college football Saturday. Thank you all for joining us. We'll see you Monday morning, starting at 7 with Dunaway and Luganville. Have a great college football Saturday.
See you guys.